confident. Jake, we're humans. We don't win because we have better odds. We win because we refuse to lose. In the darkness of space, a massive alien fleet was approaching. The final battle was coming, but this time, humanity was ready. 72 hours later, the largest fleet in galactic history arrived at Harmony 1. Over 3,000 alien warships filled the space around the station. Every species that had ever feared or hated humans was there. The Zephyrians brought their purple dreadnoughts. The Drakons brought their spiked battleships. The hive minds brought swarms of fighter craft that moved like angry insects. Even the peaceful Serenians had sent ships too afraid to stay neutral. Against this massive armada, Earth had sent 12 ships. 12 human vessels against 3,000 alien warships. The odds were impossible. But Jake Miller stood calmly on the bridge of Admiral Chen's flagship, watching the enemy fleet through the main screen. He showed no fear at all. "Admiral," came a voice from the communication system. "This is Supreme Commander Thakmor of the Combined Alliance Fleet. You are outnumbered 250 to 1. Surrender now and we will make your deaths quick." Admiral Chen activated her response channel. "Supreme Commander, this is Admiral Chen. I have a counteroffer." "What counteroffer could you possibly make?" Thakmor laughed. "Leave now," Chen said simply. "All of you. Go home to your families. Forget this happened." The alien laughter that came through the speakers was like thunder. "You think 12 ships can defeat 3,000? Humans are insane." "Maybe we are," Chen replied. "But that's what makes us dangerous." The communication ended. Both fleets faced each other in the darkness of space, waiting for someone to make the first move. Jake walked over to Admiral Chen. "Sarah, are you sure about this?" She looked at him with eyes as cold as space itself. "Jake, do you remember what I told you about humans?" "We don't win because we have better odds," Jake replied. "We win because we refuse to lose." "Exactly. And today, the galaxy learns what that really means." Admiral Chen opened a channel to all human ships. "All vessels, this is Admiral Chen. Today we fight not just for Captain Miller, but for every human who has ever been called weak. Show them what Deathworlders can do." The alien fleet attacked first. 3,000 ships opened fire at once. The space around Harmony 1 became a storm of energy beams, plasma bolts, and explosive missiles. But the human ships were already moving. What the aliens saw next would haunt their nightmares for the rest of their lives. The 12 human vessels moved like a pack of wolves hunting together. They didn't fight like a fleet. They fought like a single deadly organism. Each human ship knew exactly where the others would be. They wove between alien attacks like dancers, never colliding, never hesitating. When one ship fired, the others were already moving to support it. The aliens had numbers, but humans had something better. They had unity. "Impossible," screamed Supreme Commander Thakmor as he watched his ships explode around him. "How do they coordinate so perfectly?" "It's because they're from the same pack," whispered his tactical officer, a wolf-like alien who understood predators. "They hunt together. They die together. They are one mind in many bodies." The battle raged for 2 hours. Alien ships fell like leaves in a storm, but the human vessels kept dancing through the chaos, untouched and unstoppable. Finally, when half his fleet was destroyed or disabled, Supreme Commander Thakmor called for a ceasefire. "Stop, please stop," he begged over the communication system. "We surrender." The human ships stopped firing immediately. They formed a protective circle around Harmony 1, waiting. Admiral Chen's voice filled the silence. "Supreme Commander Thakmor, do you wish to discuss terms?" What do you want?" Thakmor asked, his voice shaking. "The same thing we've always wanted," Chen replied. "Peace, respect, and an end to this foolishness." "But you could destroy us all," Thakmor said. "Why show mercy?" Jake stepped forward and activated his own communication channel. "Because that's what separates us from Commander Vextor," he said. "He used his strength to hurt others. We use our strength to protect what's right." There was a long silence. Then Supreme Commander Thakmor spoke again, his voice filled with something aliens rarely felt: respect. "Captain Miller," he said, "on behalf of the Combined Alliance Fleet, I offer you our formal apology. What happened to you was wrong. Commander Vextor dishonored himself when he struck you." "Apology accepted," Jake replied. "And Admiral Chen," Thakmor continued, Your people fight with honor even in victory. The galaxy has misjudged humans. We see now that you are not monsters. You are warriors with souls." Admiral Chen smiled. "Supreme Commander, would you be willing to help us draft a new peace treaty? One based on mutual respect instead of fear?" "It would be our honor," came the reply. 1 year later, Jake Miller stood in the same meeting room on Harmony 1 where everything had started. But now, instead of angry aliens, the room was filled with friends and allies. The new Galactic Peace Accord had been signed by every major species. Humans were no longer seen as dangerous Deathworlders. They were seen as protectors of justice. A young alien cadet approached Jake nervously. "Captain Miller, sir, could you tell us again about the slap heard around the galaxy?" Jake smiled and looked around the room at all the different species working together. "Sure, kid. But remember, the real lesson isn't about fighting. It's about standing up for what's right." The cadet nodded eagerly. "Yes, sir. And never slap a human." Everyone in the room laughed, even Jake. "That's right, kid. Never slap a Deathworlder." The end. The lesson. Respect is earned through strength but kept through wisdom. The ships approaching Harmony 1 were moving fast and silent through the darkness of space. Jake Miller watched them through his window, counting the lights. 20 alien warships all heading straight for him. His communication device buzzed with an incoming message. "Human vessel, this is Battle Commander Vrex of the Alliance Fleet. You are surrounded. Surrender immediately or face the consequences." Jake looked at the alien ships surrounding the station. They were big and impressive with glowing weapons and thick armor. Any normal person would be terrified. Jake was not normal. He was from Earth. "This is Captain Miller," he replied calmly. "I'm afraid I can't do that. I'm waiting for someone." "Waiting for who?" Commander Vrex demanded. "Your pathetic Earth fleet. We have 20 ships, human. How many could your weak world possibly send?" Jake smiled. "You'll find out soon enough." Just then, another voice came through the communication system. This voice was different, calm, confident, and completely unafraid. "Alliance Fleet, this is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. You have 30 seconds to move away from our captain." Commander Vrex laughed. "One ship? You send one ship against 20? Humans are even more stupid than we thought." 30 seconds, Admiral Chen repeated. "I won't ask again." Through his window, Jake saw a single ship drop out of faster-than-light travel. It was sleek and black, smaller than the alien warships, but somehow more frightening. This was the HSS Vengeance, Earth's newest battleship. "Time's up," Admiral Chen announced. What happened next shocked every alien in the fleet. The Vengeance moved like a living thing. It spun and twisted through space faster than the alien eyes could track. Its weapons fired, not the big, flashy energy beams that aliens loved, but small, precise bursts of light. 3 alien ships exploded immediately. Not damaged, completely destroyed, gone in balls of fire and metal. "Impossible," screamed Commander Vrex. "How did they move so fast?" "All ships attack the human vessel," he ordered. "Show them the power of the Alliance." 19 alien warships opened fire at once. The space around Harmony 1 lit up like a deadly fireworks show. Energy beams, plasma bolts, and missile swarms all targeted the single human ship. But the Vengeance was already somewhere else. Admiral Chen's ship danced between the alien attacks like it was playing a game. Every time the aliens fired where it was, the human ship had moved to where it wasn't. The aliens were shooting at empty space. Meanwhile, the Vengeance fired back. Each shot was perfect. Each hit destroyed another alien ship. "How are they doing this?" cried an alien weapons officer. "Our computers can't track them." "It's impossible," shouted another. "No ship can move that fast." But Jake knew the truth. This wasn't about the ship, it was about the pilot. Admiral Sarah Chen was from Earth, just like him. She had grown up dodging tornadoes and hurricanes. She had learned to fight predators that moved faster than alien minds could process. To her, this battle was just like flying through a thunderstorm back home. Within 10 minutes, half the alien fleet was destroyed. The survivors were panicking, shooting wildly in all directions. Some of them were shooting at each other by mistake. "Retreat! All ships retreat!" Commander Vrex finally screamed, but Admiral Chen wasn't done teaching her lesson. The Vengeance chased the fleeing alien ships, not to destroy them, but to make sure they understood something important. Jake watched as his fellow human disabled ship after ship, leaving them floating helplessly in space. Soon, only Commander Vrex's flagship was left running. Admiral Chen's voice came over the communication system again. "Commander Vrex, this is Admiral Chen. Are you listening?" Yes, came the shaky reply. "Good. I want you to take a message back to your alliance. We didn't start this fight, but we'll finish it if we have to. Captain Miller acted in self-defense. Your commander attacked first, but he was unarmed." Vrex protested. "So was Captain Miller," Admiral Chen replied coldly. "He used a simple knife. Your commander used his superior size and strength to assault a diplomat. Which one of us is really the aggressor here?" There was silence from the alien ship. "Here's what's going to happen," Admiral Chen continued. "You're going to go back to your alliance. You're going to tell them exactly what you saw here today. And you're going to explain that Earth is not interested in war, but we're very good at it." Commander Vrex's flagship limped away into the darkness, carrying the survivors home. Jake's communication device buzzed again. This time it was Admiral Chen calling him directly. "Jake, are you all right?" "I'm fine, Admiral. Thank you for the rescue." "No rescue needed," she replied with a laugh. "You had everything under control. We just wanted to send a message to the galaxy." "What message is that?" "That humans stick together always, and anyone who hurts one of us answers to all of us." Jake looked out at the debris floating around the station, the remains of alien ships that had underestimated Earth. Message received and understood. "Admiral." The survivors of the battle at Harmony 1 limped home with a story that no one wanted to believe, but the proof was floating in space. The wreckage of 17 alien warships destroyed by a single human vessel. Commander Vrex arrived at Alliance headquarters looking like he had seen a ghost. His hands were shaking as he gave his report to the High Council. "They moved like demons," he whispered. "Our computers couldn't track them. Our weapons couldn't hit them. It was like fighting shadows." Ambassador Theltar slammed his fist on the table. "One ship cannot defeat 20. You must have made a mistake. Show them the recording," Vrex said quietly. The council chamber went dark. A holographic display showed the battle from beginning to end. The alien leaders watched in silence as the human ship danced through their attacks, destroying vessel after vessel with impossible precision. When the recording ended, no one spoke for a long time. "How?" whispered Elder Morden from the Crystal Courts. "How do they move so fast?" "It's their death world," Vrex replied. "Everything on their planet moves fast. The storms, the predators, even the plants are deadly. They learn to fight things we cannot even imagine." Across the galaxy, word of the battle spread from world to world, but with each telling, the story grew more frightening. On the trading world of Nexus 7, merchant aliens gathered in small groups, whispering nervously. "I heard the human ship was invisible," said a tentacled trader from the outer rim. No, replied a scaled merchant from Beta Prime. "My cousin's friend was there. He said the humans can bend space itself. That's how they move so fast." "My brother works in Alliance Intelligence," whispered a third alien, looking around nervously. "He told me that humans don't feel pain. They can keep fighting even when they're dying." None of these stories were completely true, but they were becoming true in the minds of the galaxy's citizens. Meanwhile, on the peaceful world of Seren, the bird-like aliens were having an emergency council meeting. "We must close all trade routes that go near human space," declared council leader. "Verth, it's too dangerous. But what about our colonies?" asked another Serenian. "Some of them are close to Earth systems." "Evacuate them," Verth replied without hesitation. "Better to lose our colonies than our lives." Similar conversations were happening on dozens of worlds. Fear was spreading faster than any virus, but not all aliens were afraid. On the warrior world of Drakthul, the reptilian dragons were excited by the news. "Finally," roared War Chief Skarax. "Worthy opponents, we have been bored fighting weaklings for too long." "The humans defeated 20 ships with one," warned his advisor. "Perhaps we should be careful," Skarax laughed, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Careful, we are Drakons. We fear nothing. Send a message to this human Admiral Chen. Challenge her to single combat." His advisor sighed. Drakons never learned. Back on Earth, in the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, human leaders watched the galaxy's reactions with interest. Fear is spreading faster than we expected, reported Intelligence Director Martinez. Most species are avoiding our territory completely. Admiral Chen studied the reports on her desk. What about the aggressive species? The ones who might see this as a challenge. The Drakons want to fight us, Martinez replied. The Zephyrians are calling for full war, and there are rumors that the hive minds are planning something big. How big? Chen asked. Our spies report they're gathering the largest fleet in galactic history. Every species that has a grudge against humanity is joining up. We're talking about thousands of ships. Chen was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled. It was not a nice smile. Let them come, she said. It's time the galaxy learned what humans do when we're really threatened. On Harmony 1, Jake Miller had become a legend. Other diplomats and traders who visited the station would ask to see the room where he had killed Commander Vextor. Some even asked for his autograph, but Jake wasn't enjoying his fame. He stood in the observation deck, looking out at the stars. When his communication device chimed, "Jake, this is Admiral Chen. I hope you're ready for company." "What kind of company?" Jake asked. "The biggest alien fleet ever assembled is heading our way. Every species that hates humans is coming for revenge." Jake sighed. "How long do we have?" 72 hours, maybe less." Jake looked out at the peaceful stars, knowing that soon this space would be filled with fire and death. "Admiral, what are our chances?" There was a pause. Then Chen's voice came back, steady and... The meeting room on Harmony 1 was about to become the most famous crime scene in galactic history. What happened in the next 5 seconds would be talked about for generations. Security cameras recorded everything. Later, alien investigators would watch the footage over and over, trying to understand how one human moved so fast. They would slow it down frame by frame, but even then, they could barely follow Jake's movements. Here is what really happened in those 5 terrible seconds. Second 1. Commander Vextor was still laughing when Jake whispered, 5 seconds. The alien commander thought it was a joke. His yellow eyes sparkled with cruel amusement. 5 seconds? Vextor roared with laughter. What will you do in 5 seconds, little human? Write me an angry letter? The other aliens in the room started laughing too. They thought the human was making empty threats. They had no idea they were watching the last moments of Vextor's life. Jake stood perfectly still. His breathing was slow and steady. His heart rate didn't even increase. This was how humans looked when they were most dangerous, calm and cold as deep space. His right hand hung loose at his side, just inches from his blade. Second 2. Vextor was still smiling when Jake's expression changed. The human's blue eyes went from warm to ice-cold in an instant. It was like watching a switch flip inside his mind. You know what your problem is? Jake said quietly. You think being big makes you strong. You think being loud makes you dangerous. Jake's hand moved toward his weapon. The movement was so smooth and natural that most aliens didn't even notice it. But Vextor saw it. For the first time, doubt crept into his yellow eyes. You're bluffing, the alien commander said. But his voice was not as sure as before. Jake's fingers touched the handle of his blade. Am I? Second 3. This was the second when everything changed. Jake's hand closed around his weapon's grip. The blade made a soft sound as it left its sheath, like silk being torn. Some aliens in the room gasped. Others tried to stand up from their chairs, but they were all too slow. They were not from a death world. They had never learned to move with killing speed. Vextor's eyes went wide. He finally understood that the human was not bluffing. The alien tried to step backward, tried to raise his arms to defend himself. Too slow, much too slow. Jake moved like lightning made flesh. His whole body became a weapon. Every muscle, every movement was perfect and deadly. Second 4, the blade cut through the air with a sound like singing metal. It was not a big weapon, just a simple steel knife made on Earth. But in Jake's hands, it became something terrible and beautiful. Vextor tried to scream, but no sound came out. The blade was moving too fast, cutting too deep. Other aliens in the room started crying out in horror. Stop! Please stop! shouted a bug-like alien from across the table, but it was already over. The blade had found its target. Jake's strike was perfect, clean and quick. There was almost no blood at first. Vextor stood there for a moment, looking confused. He reached up to touch his neck. His fingers came away wet and purple. Second 5. This was the second that changed the galaxy forever. Commander Vextor's head slid sideways off his shoulders like it was never attached at all. It hit the metal floor with a wet thud that echoed through the room. His body stood there for another heartbeat, purple blood beginning to spray from the neck. Then it collapsed backward, hitting the conference table with a crash that shook the whole room. Jake stood over the body, his blade already clean and back in its sheath. He looked around at the terrified aliens like nothing unusual had happened. I told him 5 seconds, Jake said calmly. I gave him fair warning. The other aliens sat in shocked silence. Some were crying. Others had their hands over their eyes. The bug-like alien had fainted and fallen out of his chair. Jake straightened his uniform and checked his watch. The meeting is over. You all have a choice to make. He walked toward the door, stepping over Vextor's head without looking down. You can report this as murder, Jake said, stopping at the doorway, or you can report it as justice. Either way, remember this, never put your hands on a human. We don't like to be touched without permission. The door closed behind him with a soft hiss. In the meeting room, aliens sat in stunned silence around a headless corpse. Word of what happened would reach every corner of the galaxy within hours. The 5-second execution would become legend, and Jake Miller would become the most feared human alive. The galaxy had learned a new rule. Respect the Deathworlders. The news spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. On every world, on every space station, the same message was being broadcast. Breaking news. Human kills alien commander in 5 seconds. Galaxy demands justice. But what the news reports didn't say was how scared the aliens really were. On the Zephyrian homeworld, purple-skinned aliens gathered in the Great Council Chamber. They were Vextor's people, and they were angry. But under their anger was something else. Fear. 5 seconds, whispered Elder Kethra, her old voice shaking. How does any being move that fast? It doesn't matter how fast he moved, roared General Zaxthul. He killed our commander. This means war. Around the table, other Zephyrian leaders nodded their heads. Their honor demanded revenge. But in their hearts, they wondered, if one human could kill so easily, what could a whole planet of humans do? On the peaceful world of Seren, the bird-like Serenians held an emergency meeting. These aliens had never known violence. Their world was soft and safe, with gentle rains and sweet-smelling flowers. We must stay away from human space, chirped Council Leader Verth. These Deathworlders are too dangerous. But the trade agreements, said another Serenian. We need their metals and technology. Better to be poor than dead, Verth replied. Did you see the security footage? The human showed no emotion at all. He killed like it was nothing. Meanwhile, on the insect world of Crix, millions of bug-like aliens watched the news together. They communicated through clicks and buzzes, but today their sounds were all the same. Fear. Click, buzz, click, said their queen. In human language, this meant cancel all meetings with humans immediately. But the most important meeting was happening on Korath Prime, home of the Galactic Alliance. Here, representatives from 100 worlds gathered to decide what to do about Jake Miller. The chamber was huge and round, with seats for every major species. Today it was packed full. Everyone wanted to know what the Alliance would do about the human killer. Ambassador Theltar, a tall grey alien with big black eyes, stood at the center podium. His voice echoed through the chamber. Fellow beings, he began, we face a crisis. A human has murdered one of our military commanders. This cannot go unpunished. Cheers and angry shouts filled the chamber. Many aliens wanted immediate action against Earth. The human claims it was self-defense, Theltar continued. But we all saw the footage. Commander Vextor was unarmed. He only slapped the human. For this, he lost his life. An alien that looked like a walking tree raised one of its branches. Ambassador Theltar, what do we really know about these humans? Maybe we should be more careful. Careful. Theltar's voice was angry. They come from a death world, yes, but they are still just one species. We are hundreds of species working together. They cannot stand against us all. In the back of the chamber, a small furry alien named Pip squeaked nervously. His people, the Fluffkins, were natural cowards. They survived by being very good at sensing danger. This is wrong, Pip whispered to himself. Something feels very wrong about this. But his small voice was lost in the noise of angry aliens calling for war. Ambassador Theltar raised his hands for silence. The Alliance has decided. We declare Jake Miller a war criminal. Any world that helps him will be considered an enemy of the Alliance. More cheers filled the chamber. But not everyone was happy. Some of the older, wiser aliens looked worried. After the meeting, Pip the Fluffkin hurried home to his ship. He had to warn someone. But who would listen to a small, scared alien? Back on Harmony 1, Jake Miller sat alone in his quarters. His communication device was buzzing with messages from Earth Command. Captain Miller, came the voice of Admiral Sarah Chen. We've received word of the Alliance decision. They're calling you a criminal. Jake looked out his window at the stars. What are your orders, Admiral? Hold your position. Do not surrender to anyone. Earth is sending help. How much help? Jake asked. There was a pause. Then Admiral Chen's voice came back, cold as space itself. Enough help to remind the galaxy why they should leave humans alone. Jake smiled for the first time since the incident. Understood, Admiral. I'll be waiting. As he ended the call, Jake thought about what was coming. The aliens wanted war. They would get war, but not the kind they were expecting. Earth had been preparing for this day for a long time. The humans had watched the galaxy, learned about the different species, studied their weaknesses. Now it was time to show the Alliance what a death world could really do. Outside his window, Jake saw lights moving in the darkness. Ships were coming, lots of ships, but were they friends or enemies? Soon, he would find out. The war for respect was about to begin. The news was spreading across the galaxy like wildfire. On every planet, aliens were watching the same shocking video over and over again. A purple alien head floating in space, blood drifting like red stars in the darkness. And one question everyone was asking, how did this happen so fast? 5 seconds earlier, Captain Jake Miller walked into the meeting room on Space Station Harmony 1. He was here to make peace between humans and aliens. He had no idea that in 5 seconds, he would become the most famous human in the galaxy. The meeting room was big and cold. Strange alien creatures sat around a metal table. There were bug-like aliens with many arms. There were tall, skinny aliens with blue skin. And there were others that looked like walking rocks with glowing eyes. At the head of the table sat the most dangerous alien of all, Commander Vextor of the Zephyrian Empire. His skin was purple and covered in scales. His eyes were bright yellow like burning suns. 2 sharp horns grew from his head. He was known across the galaxy for being cruel and mean. Jake took his seat at the table. He was calm and ready to talk. His uniform was neat and clean. His hands were folded on the table like a good diplomat. So, Commander Vextor said in a voice like grinding rocks, "The humans finally send someone to speak with us." He looked at Jake like he was looking at a bug. "How small you are, little human." Jake stayed calm. "Commander Vextor, thank you for meeting with me." "Earth wants peace with all species in the galaxy," the other aliens whispered to each other. Some seemed interested in peace. Others looked angry and mean. Vextor leaned forward in his chair. His yellow eyes stared hard at Jake. "Peace? Your people come from a death world. You are killers by nature. Why should civilized beings like us trust animals like you?" Jake felt his jaw get tight, but he kept his voice steady. "Earth may be a dangerous world, Commander, but that danger made us strong. We can be valuable allies." "Allies?" Vextor stood up fast. He was much taller than Jake, like a giant purple monster. "You Deathworlders are nothing but wild animals. You fight and kill for fun. You destroy everything you touch with your dirty hands." The room was getting tense. Other aliens looked scared. They knew Commander Vextor had a terrible temper. Jake stayed sitting. His hands were still folded on the table. He looked calm, but something cold was growing in his blue eyes. "Commander, I came here in peace." "Let's try to peace?" Vextor's voice was like thunder. "You dare speak of peace? Your whole species is built on war and murder. The alien commander walked around the table with heavy steps. The floor shook under his weight. He stopped right in front of Jake, looking down at him like a monster about to eat its prey. "You know what I think of humans." Vextor's voice was low and dangerous. "I think you are weak. I think you are scared. I think you came here because your pathetic world is afraid of us." Jake slowly stood up. Now they were face to face. The human was smaller, but something had changed in his eyes. They were no longer warm and friendly. They were cold as ice in space. "Commander," Jake said quietly, "I suggest you choose your next words very carefully." Vextor laughed. It sounded like rocks breaking. "Or what? What will you do, little human?" Then it happened. The moment that would change everything. Vextor's hand moved fast through the air. Slap! The sound echoed through the room like a gunshot. His powerful hand hit Jake's face so hard that the human's head snapped to the side. Complete silence filled the meeting room. Every alien stared in shock. No one moved. No one breathed. Jake's cheek was red where he had been hit. Slowly, very slowly, he turned his head back to look at Commander Vextor. His blue eyes had changed completely. They were no longer the eyes of a peaceful diplomat. They were the eyes of a predator from a death world. "You just made the biggest mistake of your life," Jake said in a voice so quiet it was terrifying. His right hand moved toward his belt. There, in a simple black holster, was something the aliens had not noticed before. A weapon, not a fancy laser gun or plasma rifle. Something much more personal, much more deadly. It was a blade. Simple steel made on Earth, sharp enough to cut through anything. Old-fashioned and perfect for killing. Jake's fingers touched the handle. Commander Vextor was still smiling, still thinking the human was weak and harmless. He had no idea that he had exactly 5 seconds left to live. News of Commander Vextor's death spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On every planet, in every space station, aliens were asking the same question. How did one human kill so fast? But to understand what happened in that meeting room, you have to understand where Jake Miller came from. You have to understand Earth. 25 years earlier, on a small farm in North America, young Jake Miller was only 8 years old when he first learned that his world was trying to kill him. It was a normal Tuesday morning when the tornado siren started screaming. "Jake, get to the basement now!" his mother shouted over the howling wind. The boy ran as fast as his small legs could carry him. Outside, the sky was black as night. The wind was so strong it picked up cars and threw them around like toys. Trees that had stood for 100 years were ripped from the ground. This was just Tuesday on Earth. In the basement, Jake's family huddled together. His father held a shotgun. Not because of the tornado, because of what came after storms. "The predators, why do we live here, Dad?" Jake asked. "Why don't we move somewhere safe?" His father smiled sadly. "Son, there is nowhere safe on Earth, but that's what makes us strong." After the tornado passed, they went outside to see the damage. Their barn was gone. Their crops were destroyed. But they were alive, and that was what mattered on Earth. That night, Jake heard something moving in the darkness outside their house. Something big, something hungry. "Mountain lion," his father whispered, looking out the window. "Probably lost its territory in the storm. Now it's looking for easy prey." The great cat was beautiful and deadly. Its eyes glowed in the darkness like yellow fire. Its muscles moved under its golden fur like liquid steel. On any other world, this creature would be the top predator. On Earth, it was just another Tuesday night visitor. Jake watched his father grab the rifle. "Why don't we just hide?" the boy asked. "Because hiding doesn't work forever, son. Sometimes you have to fight. That's the Earth way." As Jake grew older, he learned more about his deadly world. He learned that the air itself could kill you if you went too high. He learned that the water could freeze you solid or cook you alive. He learned that even tiny insects could carry diseases that would drop a grown man in hours. But he also learned that humans were different. They adapted. They survived. They became stronger. At school, Jake studied the history of other worlds. He learned about peaceful planets where the weather never changed. Worlds where the animals were gentle and friendly. Worlds where death came only from old age. "Those places sound nice," Jake said to his teacher. "They are nice," she replied. "But nice doesn't make you strong. The people from those worlds are soft, weak, They've never had to fight for survival. They don't understand what real strength means. When Jake turned 18, he joined the Earth Defense Force. His training was harder than anything the aliens could imagine. He learned to fight with guns, knives, and bare hands. He learned to survive in deserts, jungles, and frozen wastelands. But most importantly, he learned the Earth Code. Respect all life. But defend your own at any cost. During training, alien visitors would sometimes watch the human soldiers. They would whisper among themselves, calling them Deathworlders, beings from a planet so dangerous that it created natural killers. Jake didn't understand why they seemed so afraid. To him, this was just normal life. Every human could do these things. Every human had to be strong to survive on Earth. One day, an alien diplomat asked Jake why humans were so violent. "We're not violent," Jake replied. "We're survivors. There's a difference." "But you fight so easily," the alien said. Jake thought about this. On Earth, everything fights. The weather fights against us. The animals fight against us. Even the ground tries to kill us with earthquakes. So we learn to fight back, not because we want to, but because we have to. Years later, when Jake became a captain and started going to peace meetings, other aliens would always underestimate him. They saw a calm, polite human and thought he was weak. They didn't understand that the calmest humans were often the most dangerous ones, because they had learned to control the killer, instinct that Earth had bred into them. They didn't understand that every human carried the strength of a death world in their hearts, and Commander Vextor had just awakened that strength. The slap that shook the galaxy was not just an insult to Jake Miller. It was an insult to every human who had ever survived another day on the most dangerous planet in the known universe. Now the galaxy would learn what that really meant.